Welcome to another exciting edition of American Warrior Radio, the place to be for news, notes, interviews, and current events for all issues military and veteran related. If you or someone you know has ever worn the uniform of the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, or National Guard or Reserves, you've come to the right place, American Warrior Radio, right here on the Talk to Me station, AM 1300 WMEL, and online worldwide at 1300WMEL.com, sponsored by AVET Project. Folks, this program is all about supporting our troops and their families, both past and present. So please get comfortable, grab a beverage, and don't forget that pen and paper, because you want to jot down a note or two with the information we're bringing you, which is useful for you or someone else. We just want to make sure that you get the information written down so you can share it. With that said, let's get this show off the ground. My name is gscone. I'm an Air Force veteran, a retired legal advocate for veterans, and founder of AVET Project. But all you regular listeners to American Warrior Radio know that I never fly through the airwaves alone.
Good morning. I'm Glenn McGuffey. I'm retired Air Force and the retired manager of the Brevard County Veteran Services Team, where it was my honor to help our veterans and their eligible family members earn the benefits that you earned in service to our great nation. We have, as usual, a great program today.
We really do.
Yes, we do. And I want to foot stomp, keeping the paper and pencil handy, or pen, to write down phone numbers or websites or other important information that we may give you that may not apply to you, but it may apply to a son or a daughter,
neighbor,
or a friend, neighbor. You got it. And with that, we're going to kick it off here, Garen. Go for it.
Well, I want to mention to everybody there is still time. This is a call to action. All you American Warrior Radio listeners, I need you to do something, not for me, not even for you, but for our troops that are deployed. It's called the Deployed Troops Support Act of 2014. It has been passed in the House of Representatives, thanks to Congressman Posey and his staff. It has been passed in bipartisan fashion. It now sits before the Senate of the United States. Hello, Mr. Rubio and Mr. Nelson. It's sitting there right now on page 518 of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2015. And the call to action is this. I'm lowering my voice so I really get you reeled in here. You got to make a call. You got to call the senators or email them and say, leave the Deployed Troops Support Act of 2014 in the NDAA. That's what they say, Glenn.
Yep, and the NDAA, of course, the National Defense Appropriations Act, and it always has several things amended to it or attached to it, whichever way you want to look to it. And we vitally need this done. AVET needs it done, as well as all other not-for-profit organizations who support our veterans who are deployed wherever they may be deployed. I guess Afghanistan should be down to a minimum now, according to the president anyway.
Well, the Deployed Troops Support Act, if we can get this through, people, and it's only going to happen if we get some support from our senators here in Florida, which are Nelson and what's the other guy's name?
Nelson and Marco Rubio.
If you're living and listening to American Warrior Radio online, or maybe you're a deployed troop, because we have listeners all over the globe, and you wanna do something for yourself or to help the troops, get a hold of your senator. Regardless, there's only 2 per state, Glenn.
That's right, and like Garen said, it's already passed Congress. We've got that hurdle done. With the change in the Senate, hopefully we'll be able to get through them this time and get this bill passed, approved, and signed into law.
Exactly. It allows nonprofits to use taxpayer-funded military transports that have space available. Glenn, you've said it in the past. These planes are going somewhere anyway.
Yeah, they're already going to wherever they're going to, and they're allowed to carry goods on the space available for the civilian population of where they're going to. My goodness, we should be able to take stuff to help the troops.
Exactly. It's a no-brainer. So call your senator. Call your senator. That's the United States Senator in the state where you live. Here it's Rubio or Nelson. And tell them to leave the Deployed Troops Support Act in the NDAA. It's that simple. Call them, email them, make it happen. Please. Our troops and their family members and all the nonprofits that spend so much money on shipping costs will thank you very, very much.
How much is the shipping cost again?
Oh my gosh, you know, when AVET Project first started our EEB, Empowerment Equipment Box, which is a enhanced care package program, to ship one box over was like $11.45.
Okay.
Right now it's $17.90.
And climbing.
So don't worry about the post office. They can hold their own. This is to help our troops on a program that already exists. We're just amending it to include support of our troops because prior to this, it's been prohibited for that use. So the change in the law is good. Tell them, leave it in. It happens to be page 518 of a 1,036 page bill. But make that call, please. Now, Glenn, you mentioned it, and I like that you mentioned it, that as of, the other day, sometime earlier in the week here, the combat operations in Afghanistan have ended. They lowered the flag.
Exactly. And
I think it was like Monday or something.
exactly. That, if I remember correctly, but it was this past week. And there will be some troops still left there in advisory capacity as they have sent more troops to Iraq in advisory capacity.
This is true.
Because of the ISIS threat over there. So, there's still going to be a need in a combat arena to get these packages to them. And there's a need in other strange places where you can't take your families overseas to get these
The care packages.
care
Yep.
packages. That's the word.
Well, the unaccompanied tours. Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
But now that combat operations have ceased in Afghanistan, but we still have soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and coasties over there. We need to help these guys and gals as they transition from military. Because honestly, Glenn, a lot of these guys and gals have already done multiple combat tours.
Yeah, that's a kind of a new thing with this war has been the fact that they have used reservists to such a great extent, and a lot of them have served. I know a guy that was upstairs when I was still working at the county, had been on 5 tours to Iraq and Afghanistan.
And survived, made it home.
Yeah,
Praise
thank
God.
God for that.
Yeah. So, folks, we're telling you straight up, we got a lot of combat vets that are coming back from the combat theaters, and they're going to be, a lot of them will be leaving service. We know that.
Exactly.
Because they're not all career-oriented, and, I just bless them for all their service and sacrifice to this point. And the survivors, the guys and gals that have come back, may not be completely whole, Glenn.
Yeah, and that's probably a good segue to eligibility for VA health care.
Okay, so we want to talk about combat veteran eligibility. All right? Before we get there, though, one program that is available for all combat vets is the Vet Center. What's a Vet Center, Glenn?
A Vet Center is a part of the VA that not many people seem to know about, but I wish they did. And they provide counseling services for combat veterans and their families to help them overcome those problems that mental health issues, even physical health issues that may be hampering their ability to enjoy a full and successful lifestyle.
Well said. The vet centers are available to anybody that has, and we need to mention this. This is an important part of the change. They have opened it up for counseling to family members of combat veterans.
That's right, and yeah, I did mention that, but it's good to foot stomp that family members are available to use the vet center, and the vet center in our county is down on Sarno Road.
Okay, and there's a vet center. Man, they've done a good job, the VA has. Folks, we can sit here and lambaste the VA, and I will later, for a variety of reasons and failures, but they have some great successes too. And I think the Vet Center program is one of those successes. But Glenn, there's certain eligibility. What is that? What? Not every veteran can go there.
Well, it has to be a combat veteran. A combat veteran, by definition, had to be in a theater of operations, and those are World War II, certain merchant mariners who've obtained a DD-214, and you can...
I saw a merchant marine in an airport once. He looked sharp in his Class A's.
Yeah, exactly. And they did a hell of a job during the World War II era of moving goods from the United States over to England, primarily to England, and then they were shipped from there to the front lines as the war progressed.
And did you know that the merchant marines have an academy as well?
Yeah, I heard that a long time ago. That's the first time anybody's mentioned that in a long time.
I heard it last couple weeks or so. Somebody brought that up. So okay, so certain merchant mariners.
Yep, Korean War veterans who were eligible for the Korean Service Medal. That's the easiest way to put it. And then any wartime veteran, again, who was in theater that served in the Vietnam War, and this has been expanded for the Vet Center only, Lebanon, Grenada, Panama, Persian Gulf, Somalia, Bosnia, Kosovo, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation New Dawn, which was kind of the continuation after
Correct.
Iraqi Freedom, Operation Joint Endeavor, Operation Joint Guard, and Operation Joint Force from 2499 to be established as an end date. So it's still open.
And this is if they have one of those periods of service in theater and they're a combat vet, they can go and use the vet center and soak in their families.
And then the last one's a global war on terrorism, and most of these can be determined by having a certain medal, like the Global War on Terrorism medal,
Sure.
or the Vietnam Service medal, and so forth.
So that I think Glenn gave you a good primer on that for using the vet center. Now, combat veteran eligibility. This is health care we're talking about through the VA. All right, this is enhanced eligibility for health care benefits through the VA. Back in 2008, there was a big NDAA. Every year there's one.
Right.
National Defense Authorization Act. They extended the period of eligibility for health care for veterans who served in theater of combat operations after November 11th, 1998. All right, now that's anybody that served in a combat theater after 1998. Under the Combat Veteran Authority, the VA provides cost-free, I'm reading this right now, cost-free health care services and nursing home care for conditions possibly related to military service and enrollment in Priority Group 6. Let's pause there for a moment. What's this Priority Group 6 stuff, Glenn?
Priority Group 6 is combat veterans who may not meet the other eligibility criteria. Primarily, we're talking income and assets.
Or a service-connected disability.
Or a service-connected disability at, any service-connected disability, primarily those at 10% or greater.
Correct.
And
But there's like 8 different groups that the VA uses, groupings, regarding healthcare enrollment.
That's right. And
so you're 2 steps up from the bottom already just because you're a combat vet.
That's right.
And you may, and it goes on to say that you may actually have entitlement to a higher priority group based on your service after January 28, 2003. But the idea that this is very important, and you've got to share this. Maybe it's starting to make its way out into the crowd and through the grapevine, but it's that 5-year deal. What's that about, Glenn? The 5 years after discharge, they get health care in the VA?
They get health care in the VA regardless of what category they might fall into.
Or regardless of what the condition is, right?
Regardless of what the condition is, regardless of whether they have a service-connected disability or not. And this has been around for a little bit, so hopefully the word has beat onto the street. But usually when it beats onto the street, it's not right.
Yeah, but anybody that served in a combat theater, and it also says something about reservists and guards, which you mentioned earlier. We've really been utilizing them a lot.
Yeah, well, reservists and members of the National Guard are eligible if they served on active duty in a theater of combat operations after November 11th, 1998, and have been discharged under other than dishonorable conditions.
So this is the 5-year expanded healthcare treatment through the VA. if you are a combat veteran or listeners of American Warrior Radio, if you know somebody that is, man or woman, then make sure they understand they have health care entitlement at no cost to them based on their combat service to this country.
Yeah, and for any condition, as you mentioned, we need to foot stomp that. And
so if I get a cold and I'm a combat vet after 2003 and I got this 5-year thing and I need to be seen by a doctor, that would qualify?
Yep, that would qualify.
If I break my leg, same thing?
Same thing. Let me urge you to go ahead and enroll if you're a combat veteran. Because if you've got some temporary thing like the cold or the flu, by the time you get through the enrollment process, it may be healed on its own.
But that's the next logical step, and we need to talk about that for a moment. I know there's the form, the 1010EZ, but what, generally speaking, Glenn, what does a vet out there need to do to enroll in the VA? Let's talk specifically, folks, we're talking combat veterans. Combat operations have ceased in Afghanistan as of earlier this week. So we're talking about combat vets. I'm a combat vet. After 2003, I got this 5 years of eligibility. What do I do to enroll in healthcare in the VA?
You take your DD-214 out to the clinic in Viera.
Or whatever VA clinic may be near you.
VA, since for you folks listening in other places, whoever provides, be it a medical center or a clinic, you take your 214 there and enroll. You fill out that 1010 Easy that Garen was talking about, and in our area they'll send it up to Atlanta, and Atlanta will make a determination on what category to put you in, but they'll put some kind of footnote in there that you're a combat veteran and entitled to 5 years of health care. And let me tell you, a little birdie told me when I was still working as the manager of our county veteran services team that at the end of the 5 years, they ain't going to kick you out the door.
Exactly. Once you have that passport, that VA ID that has your photo on it, and it has your little branch of service chevron or emblem, you're good to go. The VA's not going to kick you out. You're in, you're good.
No, that makes no sense. You might be in the middle of active treatment for some serious problem that the veteran has, and you go, oh, your 5 years is up, and now you don't meet the criteria to stay enrolled for care, and goodbye. No, that don't happen.
That doesn't happen, and here's the thing. If you have any question about that, or if you all of a sudden after the 5-year period's gone by, you get a bill for having been seen by a CBOC. What's that stand for?
Community-based outpatient clinic.
Okay, so when you hear these acronyms, again, all you military folks know we're all geared towards that. Everything's got to be acronymized. Acronymized.
That's a word.
Okay, I just made a new word, acronymized. Now, with that though, you get this bill, and it's for a copay. Them saying that, hey, you owe us $10 for that bottle of medicine you got or whatever. And the copays vary, I know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then you need to come see me or another accredited veteran service officer. You can go to the county where I used to work, and that's out there in Viera at the County Government Center, Bravo Building, and get your pen out, 633-2012 or 321-633-2012, and give them a call. They don't make appointments, but they might fill you in on what they want you to bring, and
save a step.
Yeah, for me, you go to Glenn with 2 N's, GLENN at AVETproject, all together, avetproject.org, and that's an email address. I don't do things initially by phone because it just doesn't work too well that way. And we'll set up a time and we'll meet at American Legion Post 200, which is my base of operations in Satellite Beach.
And anybody that has a claim issue, again, email first, Glenn with 2 N's at avetproject.org, and he'll take it from there and communicate back and forth what you may need to bring to the meeting and what have you.
You bet.
And you do an incredible job, and you want to talk about foot stomping, I'm going to do that for you. You've been doing this a long time. You retired as a supervisor out there in Viera, and now you're continuing to serve your brothers and sisters in arms by helping AVET Project with all the claimants that come through, and you stay pretty busy.
Yep, I'm doing well. I'm a double hitter here. I'm doing AVET as a service officer, and I'm doing American Legion Post 200 as their service officer.
So there's no reason anybody out there should go, oh, I don't know how to do it, I'm just going to throw it away, I'm not going to do it. No, no, no. You could go to eBenefits online, but we're gonna be sharing some stories in the new year as to why you shouldn't do that.
Exactly.
And we've got an excellent case example with one of the veterans here just recently that got denied simply because, well, eBenefits doesn't allow all the information that you need to support your claim.
Well, it doesn't easily at any rate.
Well, he said it anyway. We'll get to that. So we got some information on that.
Well, we got some real life stories. A quick one is we had a veteran, and he had been 48 days after I helped him file his claim. He said, I haven't heard anything from the VA. There's nothing on eBenefits telling me the status of my claim, nothing saying the VA got it. I said, call the 800 number. He called the 800 number, 800-827-1000, 800-827-1000. That's the VA's hotline. And they told him, yeah, we got it, and it'll be 6 months. But at least they got it, clear as mind that they've got it.
Yeah, and that's the important part, that they actually receive your claim in. That number you mentioned, I don't care where you're at in the United States, it's 1-800-827-1000 for the VA. And let us know what happens when you call that number. Listen, folks, we got a lot more of American Warrior Radio coming to you after this short break. So please don't go anywhere. And as a matter of fact, get on the horn and call everybody you know and say, hey, you got to dial up American Warrior Radio on AM 1300 if they're here on the Space Coast or within Central Florida. Otherwise, join us online at 1300WMEL.com because American Warrior Radio doesn't stop at the bottom of the break. We're coming back, folks. Don't go anywhere.